Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Keith Andrew, and I'm on here with Ms. Hamilton. And I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Now, for people who want to know what the Keith Andrew Network is, the whole point of the Keith Andrew Network is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities that you should never give up or have people label you, and you should prove to them you can still mount to something no matter what. So that being said, there's a half hour, 40 minutes every time. And starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, I'm an actor and a writer, and I make films. And I also do, for my day job, I also interview people.
Oh, that's really cool. What do you interview people about?
Well, I interview people for like advertising companies or companies that make a product, and they want to find out what people like about the product or how they use it or what else they could say about a new product because there's lots of things you can say. The question is, what do you say that makes someone go, oh, that's really interesting?
Oh, that's really cool. Starting off, what can you tell us about your life growing up?
I grew up outside of San Francisco area, and I'm the oldest of six kids. And we did a lot of music and reading and stuff like that. It was a place where being a good student and learning was really important, and also accepting everybody however they are, because the San Francisco area is very full of lots of different kinds of people. So we were always taught to love all different kinds of people.
Oh, absolutely. And now, growing up, did you do any sports? When you were in high school and college, were you study nerd or party animal?
I didn't really do sports. I did do dancing. I'm not very good with sports, but I did dance, and I was also in. I did a lot of singing as well, and some acting too.
All right, and you mentioned in the beginning that you interview people on products. How did that all come about, and who influenced you on that?
Well, it started out when I was in college, and my father passed away suddenly, and so I had to get a job. And because I spoke Spanish, I ended up getting a job for the UCLA Medical Center, and they wanted me to go out and interview people in their homes, like in the projects of East LA, to find out if they got good health care or not, because UCLA wanted to know if poor people were getting just as good of care as people who were rich. So I got to go around and interview them, and I learned how to do EKGs, and it was very interesting to learn about lots of different kinds of people.
Oh, that's really interesting. What can you tell us about UC, the college you mentioned? Because that's a big name college and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
What brought you there?
Well, it was a state school, so it was less expensive, and I didn't know very much about it, but I had won some awards in languages, so I decided to major in linguistics, which I didn't even know really what that was. And what that is the studying of how people behave with each other with language. Like when you're joking around with a friend, you talk differently than when you're meeting, the principal of the school for the first time. So we learned about that kind of stuff. And we also learned about how people learn language and how some people learn language differently than other people.
No, absolutely. I'm a perfect example of that. And I give you I can't even talk. I'm a perfect example of that, because when I hang out or when I meet other people, I'm more professional. I'm more, a little standoffish, but I'm more, presentable than when I'm with my family. I'm laid back. I can say whatever. And, it's basically two sides of me. And, everyone else is like that too. There's two sides. This is my family side and this is my personal side.
Mm-hmm.
Or business side. And I bet you're kind of like that as well.
I think everyone does that, and and the reason that we do that is because we want to be polite to people. We want to connect with people, and I don't know if you know this, Keith, but the whole reason that people like politeness and the whole idea of politeness was to make other people feel comfortable. So we're always trying to find ways to be comfortable and connect with the people around us. And so we follow the lead of either that person or we follow the lead of the circumstance. You know, if you're at a very formal thing versus if you're at a backyard barbecue, how to be comfortable with people and how to show people that you care about them is a little different in each place.
No, absolutely. Now, you mentioned you are an actress. How many years were you an actress for? Were you any extras in any films or TV shows?
Yeah, I've been an actress since I was about 8 years old. My mom was the one that first taught me, and I wasn't doing it full time. I did opera singing and I did other kinds of singing, and I did some what's called stand up comedy and improv. And I've been in New York now for a few years, and I've been on shows like Nurse Jackie with Edie Falco, who you might remember from The Sopranos. That was a big one. And I just auditioned for a couple of movies. I've done a few what's called independent movies, which means that they're with less well known directors. So they don't end up at the big cinema, but they end up at film festivals and stuff like that.
All right. Now, the next question I was going to ask you is, in what year did you start your career, and what do you see next going for yourself?
Gosh, it's hard to say what year I started because I was doing this kind of thing for a long time. Where what I see coming next right now, I'm writing a lot of things. So I just won an award for a short film that I wrote actually 2 weeks ago. And now I've got a web series that I'm writing and also a couple of movie scripts that I'm writing. So my goal is to raise enough money so that I can actually write and produce my own work that I wrote myself and be able to act in it. Like how Tina Fey does, or Amy Schumer is a person that does that, or Woody Allen is another person that's done that quite a lot. So that's my goal.
All right. Now, I'm going to pass the show over to you. Was there any subjects you would like to talk about? Anything you want to promote? This is your time, after all.
Well, that's very nice of you. I have, if you want to learn more about me, you can go to LoriHamiltonActor.com. So it's Lori, Lori, and then Hamilton, like the musical Hamilton. And I have a lot of short films there and stuff like that. I also have on Facebook, there's a show that I'm working on called I Hate Hipsters. And what that's about is, I don't know if you know this, Keith, but hipster is a term that was coined in the 1930s by black musicians who were kind of making fun of the white kids who were pretending to be black. So hipsters are anyone who's pretending to be someone that they're not. So I'm writing a show about that, and that has its own Facebook page. So those are the main two things that I would say I'm promoting right now if you want to see more about my stuff.
Okay, well, the next thing I was going to ask you is when I first approached you about my talk show, what was your first opinion of it, and how do you feel about it now being on?
Well, I didn't know what to think. I have been asked to be on a couple of different talk shows before, so I thought, well, this sounds like a nice thing to do, and it sounds like you're a young man who's trying to create some good goals for yourself. So I thought I would be able to help out, and I was glad that I had some time today to do it. Thank you so much, and good luck. And tell me a little bit about you. How did you decide to do a talk show? How has this become something you wanted to do?
All right, well, pretty much, the whole point of my show, there's a lot of different variations of the story. For example, yeah, I used my brother for an inspiration. That's one story. The other story is I got tired of using my disability as a crutch. For the longest time, I said I can't do this, I can't do that, and that's like one day I was like, screw it. Yeah, for the longest time, I was using my learning disability as a crutch. I can't drive, I can't go to college, I can't do a whole bunch of other things. You know what? I'm going to show people that, you labeled me as mentally challenged, mentally disturbed, retarded, and everything. I'm going to show you those labels don't mean anything, and that's exactly what they are, just labels. So I'm going to turn a negative into a positive. So I'm using my disability that for the longest time was using it as a weakness, now turning it into a strength. And there's a lot of people out there with disabilities and learning disabilities, and I'm like, well, if they can go out and accomplish their things in life, then at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example, saying, for the longest time, people labeling me as mentally disturbed or, whatever. But look at what I'm able to accomplish. I've been doing this for 3 years. I interviewed a whole bunch of people, and it's taking one step at a time. It's basically turning a negative into a positive. A lot of people, when they look me up, they say, "Oh, you're really big on social media. You should have a big fan following." But the truth of the matter is, I have no idea how to do that. And if I am really big on social media, that's news to me because, I don't know what to do about that. But basically, I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. One, I'm doing it for myself because, people always like to handcuff me and label me as this and that. But I'm going to show people that even with a disability, I can still amount to something. And then I was like, you know what? How about, okay, that sounds nice. So what about I tweak it a little bit so it doesn't sound like I'm an ass? I tweaked it. So now I'm turning myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. And now the Keith Andrew Network is worldwide. So it's now seen in America, England, Canada, all over the place, over the states, and it's for people out there that are in a similar situation that says, hey, I have a disability, or I'm in a wheelchair, but look at what I'm able to accomplish. People like to label things and be in control, but basically it's about overcoming labels and just showing people you can still amount to something.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. There was a guy that was in prison for a long time, and while he was in prison, he made really great artwork. There's another book called Dreams into Action, and it's written by a director, and he has a list of all these people who have all these excuses of why they couldn't do something. Like there was a basketball player who was only 5 feet 4 inches tall, so he was considered too short. Or someone else was considered too pretty to be a serious actor. Or someone was considered too ugly. Or someone had dwarfism and they were a small person. So everybody has some reason why someone will tell them that they can't do something. So I encourage you, if you can, I would love to have you interview lots of people who also have disabilities and show what you guys have done. There's a woman I interviewed for, there's a condition called lupus. And what happens is it makes you very, very tired and it makes all of your muscles hurt a lot, like a lot. When she was 15 years old, she got really, really sick. She'd been a dancer and she didn't want to do anything. And she went to all these different doctors and they said, oh, finally, here's what you have. You have lupus. You'll never dance. You'll never go to college. You'll never get married. Bye. Have a nice life. And now she's 16 years old. Well, when I met her, she was married. She had gone to college and she had a baby and she figured out how to make it work. And she was telling one of her friend said, well, why can't you go to lunch with me? So they were at a diner and she went to the big tray where they have all the knives and forks and spoons. She pulled out all the spoons and she said, let me tell you my day. There's 1 spoon for getting up and 1 spoon for eating something and 1 spoon for drinking something and 1 spoon for going to the bathroom and 1 spoon for washing my face. And by the time she got downstairs, she only had 1 spoon left. And she said, that's all my energy that I have left for that day. So that's why I can't have lunch with you. And so her friends and family would come and help. And she got really famous that when she got sick and had to go to the hospital, people sent her spoons from 73 countries. And she got to testify before Congress about lupus and what it was like. And she created this whole network of other patients all helping each other when she was told that she would never get to do anything for her whole life. So I think you have a lot to be proud of, and there's lots of other people that have lots to be proud of. And the more we share that, the more everyone learns.
No, absolutely. And I have interviewed, a lot of people saying to me, you're doing a great thing, but I don't want to be on your show. But then there's other people that's like, well, you're just interviewing people with disabilities, and it's kind of like you're missing the point. But like I said, I have interviewed actors, actresses, models, CEOs, professional wrestlers, everyone and everyone.
That's great.
And with that being said, some of them are normal, and some of them have are dealing with any types of disabilities, who are disabled or handicapped. And I interviewed people like two of them come to mind. One, she's an upcoming actress. She's in a wheelchair, but she's been in a couple of films. And I'm like, well, you're a perfect example. Well, just because you're in a wheelchair doesn't mean you can't do other scenes. Like you can sit in a chair, you can be at a bar, you can be at the table. Any sit-in scene, there's always going to be a sit-in scene somewhere. Even if you're not the main star, you can be like an extra, you can be like a supporting star, whatever it is. People like taking shortcuts. And there's another one who has cerebral palsy and he's in a wheelchair, but he's a filmmaker. And it's kind of like, if these people can do it, then there's no excuses why I can't do my talk show or other people with disabilities can't do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean?
I do. Well, I'm very proud of you, and thank you so much for having me on your show. It was really nice to meet you.